Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes. Heartbreaking loss for my Texas Longhorns. They go down to Florida 29-21 in the swamp. I thought this was a game that Texas could have definitely won before this game started, but that Florida Gators team and Billy Napier, they came out and they won the trenches. They played really hard. They had a really good game plan, and they were able to put some pressure on Arch Manning and that Texas Longhorns offense, and they was able to run the football at will pretty much most of that game against Texas defense, which I felt like was one of the best run defenses in the country. But the Florida Gators, they were able to run the ball and control things, especially in the first three quarters, and they were able to beat Texas 29-21. Valiant effort by Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. They were able to battle back several times and try to make the game interesting, but Florida responded back with DJ Lagway and that freshman wide receiver being able to make plays down the stretch against Texas. Billy Napier almost gave Texas an opportunity to get back and possibly get a final score and had to get a 2-point conversion by calling that timeout, giving Texas nearly a minute left after that punt. But I think he had confidence in his defense to be able to make some things happen, and they were able to secure that victory 29-21 over Texas. Before this game took place, before the season even started, I felt like this was going to be the game that was going to give Texas some trouble. Even though Florida hadn't been playing well, I sort of changed my mind on that because they weren't playing well. They were 1-3 going into this game. DJ Lagway hadn't been playing well. Their defense had been playing lights out. And you saw again today that they played lights out again against a pretty decent Texas offense. And I'll talk a little bit more about Texas offense here in a little bit. But I was very, very impressed with Florida and the way their trenches, man, they rocked Texas the whole entire game. That defensive line was getting pressure with just four guys. A defensive line who hadn't been getting pressure on anybody all season was able to take advantage of a Texas offensive line that could not hold up at all. They were having serious trouble against that Florida defensive front. And kudos to them for making that happen for the Florida Gators defensively. I think in the end, though, I was very, very impressed with the fact that Arch Manning was able to make some plays. He was getting beat up all game, and he still came back and fought and fought and fought and fought, which is a good sign for Texas going forward. If that offensive line can get itself together, which it's probably not going to happen. So Steve Sarkisian and Cal Flood are going to have to go to the drawing board and figure out what kind of plays can they run with this kind of an offensive line that's not very good. Much like Mac Brown had to do with Colt McCoy his last year at Texas, really his last 2 years at Texas. So they're going to have to come up with some kind of strategy going forward to help that offensive line out because it's not going to get any easier down the stretch for them. They're going to face Oklahoma team that I believe is just as good up front as this Florida team. So that's going to be another challenge for them next week in the Red River rivalry. So they're going to have to figure something out quick, fast, and in a hurry. My man Post Game wants to know, do I believe my Texas Longhorns rebound and secure a playoff bid? Well, if you look at it right now, they have two losses, a loss against the number one team in the country, and then one SEC loss. They still have 7 more SEC games. All games that the way you've seen Texas play today, you know they're going to be able to fight and be in those games. They got a long stretch here in October where they're on the road. They're not home in DKR in any of these games in October. They go on the road to play the Red River rivalry. Then they go to Kentucky, and then they go to Mississippi State. All games I believe Texas can win uh, in this road stretch, and then they'll get Georgia, and then I think Vanderbilt after that. I think they can make it to the college football playoffs with two losses, one to the number one team in the country, and another. And this loss they got took today in the SEC. They can make it to still make it to the SEC championship game with that one loss, much like they did last year when they went 7-1. But they have to win out, and they have to at least make it to the SEC championship game in order for that to happen. Is it doable? I believe it is because I believe that this Texas team has the fight in them to be able to compete with anybody left on their schedule in the SEC. I believe they can go to Athens and play a really good, tough Georgia team and be in that game as well with a chance to win it late if they don't get ahead early. Because that Georgia team is not as complete as they were in the past. So I believe Texas can definitely make it and rebound and make it to the college football playoffs. But they can't have any more losses. They have no more margin for error at all. And a lot of us believe that a three-loss SEC team can get in. Um, I don't want to leave it up to the committee. So Texas is going to have to win out, make it to the SEC championship game in order for that to happen. Even if they lose or get their third loss in the SEC championship game, I believe that'll bode well for them, and they'll still make the college football playoffs. But they have to win out. They got to win every game, which is not going to be an easy task because every team they play is going to give Texas their best shot because, I mean, they want to win games too. They're not just going to lay down because Texas is coming to town or because they're going to DKR. So I do think they can make it to the college football playoffs, but they got to win out. They have no more margin for error. So back to how I felt about Texas on defense. They did not come out with the physicality that I expected them to come out with. And Billy Napier, who was the offensive play caller for Florida, he really called a really good football game. And I don't think Texas was prepared for what they saw Florida doing out there because they hadn't seen it. They couldn't really prepare for what they hadn't seen. And I think that really threw Texas off. Florida has some really good wide receivers, man. And I think if DJ Lagway can stay healthy and that offensive line can keep him from getting pressure on him, he's going to be able to pick some people apart with those wide receivers that they have and that running game that they have. Their offensive line has played their best game of the season today against Texas, which is a really good defensive front. But they made Texas look like they were not a good defensive front at all. I don't think they got very much pressure on DJ Lagway. I think they might have had one sack maybe in this game. So I think that this Florida team, if they can stay the course and they can keep their players healthy, they could possibly beat some other teams, at least when they play them at home in the swamp. If they're at home in the swamp and that crowd can get into it like they were today, they were ready for that Texas Longhorns team to come in there and give them everything that they had, and they gave it to them, and they beat Texas 29-21. As far as Texas offensively, they had got absolutely no run game going. Cal Flood and Steve Sarkisian is going to have to challenge this offensive unit. If I'm the head coach and I'm the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator, I'm telling every single one of those linemen on offense, you are all auditioning for a starting role on my offense because what I saw today was pitiful. Those guys could not open up any run lanes. They could not pass block. They were getting beat consistently the whole entire game. And it wasn't so much the schemes that Florida was, they were just getting out, was just getting bullied, just getting straight up bullied. And I think that those offensive line coach, Cal Flood, who's also the co-offensive coordinator with Steve Sarkisian, is going to have to tell those guys, listen, we're all auditioning for a new role. Brandon Baker, you're gonna have to fight for that position, man, because you caused too many issues on that offensive line. You had way too many penalties, from holding to false starts. Andre Kojo, false starts. Even our best offensive lineman had some penalties as well. It's just not a good look. And they got to get more discipline. You have got to get your discipline together. You can't be all these 5-star, 4-star athletes, and you guys don't have the discipline that you need. You can't beat yourself with false start penalties. You can't beat yourself with unnecessary uh, uh, hands to the face penalties, stuff like that to help teams extend drives. You can't do that whenever you're going into a hostile environment. I can't take anything away from Florida. Florida went out there and they won that game. They went out there and they beat Texas flat out today. The only thing I'm excited about is the fact that our quarterback, who had not played well outside of maybe 2 games going into this game, played his heart out. He left it all out on the field. He was able to get 21 points out there. He missed some throws, though. He missed some throws, but that's because he's dealing with the fact that, man, these guys are all over me. So sometimes you miss those throws, but he stood in the pocket on many occasions, made some throws, took some hits. He looked a whole lot better than he looked in that Ohio State game, and he looked a whole lot better than he did in the game against Texas El Paso. He looked better in those games today than in those games. And I was excited to see that he is a quarterback that we can count on, that we can win with. But we got to get the running game together. And that all starts with that offensive front. Those guys have got to get better, and they got to get better real quick, because it's not going to get any easier when they go into the Cotton Bowl to play the Oklahoma Sooners. So that's pretty much all I had. I was excited that they were able to fight back, had a chance to maybe score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion. They had the ball back in the last possession with almost a minute left to try to make something happen. It didn't happen, but the fact that they put themselves in position to be able to have it happen, the defense was able to get off the field on the last 2 drives to give the offense back the ball with under 5 minutes left. So the defense did do as much as it could down the stretch. They just didn't play well enough early in the game. You can't go into halftime down 19-7 and not keep Florida out of the end zone when the score was I believe it was 10-7. It was 10-7. No, it was 17-7, and then they got the block punt. But Texas has got to do better defensively. They got to be better prepared for teams that they aren't sure what they can do, because they did not play well against this Florida Gators team. But hats off to Florida and what they were able to do out there today. They played really, really well. They was coached well today. Outside of that last debacle where Billy Napier called that timeout to give Texas more time on the clock and on that for that last drive. But outside of that, they played a really, really good football game. Arch Manning was intercepted twice by that defense. 2 really good plays by their defensive secondary. But like I said earlier, man, I think Arch Manning showed that he can be a really, really good quarterback. Even though he was under all of that pressure, he still stood in there and made some plays and made some throws. So kudos to Florida. Like I said earlier, they won that thing. Texas now has to rebound, bounce back, get ready for Oklahoma. Whether they play with John Mateer or not, they got to be prepared. They got to be ready. And that offensive line has got to get better. I'm not worried about the defense because I know the defense is going to accept the challenge going forward. Is the offensive line going to accept the challenge going forward? Are they going to get better? We knew they were young. We knew some of those guys was inexperienced. But at this point, 5 games into the season, they cannot continue to be the Achilles heel for this Texas Longhorns team. Everybody was looking at it like it's Archer's the Achilles heel because of how he played early in the season. But I believe he's put together back-to-back games where he threw the ball pretty well, in rhythm, in timing, even though today he was under a lot of pressure every single play. But he was able to make some plays. So that offensive line, like I said, they have got to get better and get better in a hurry because it's not going to get any easier. We got 3 more road games in a row in this month of October. They got to get better now, 2 of which are road games that I believe Texas can win. But when they go on the road to Mississippi State, that's going to be a tough contest for them. I believe they can beat Kentucky in Kentucky. But that road game to play Mississippi State, who played them really, really tough last year in Austin, Texas is going to have to come to play. That's a game that they're going to have to try to find a way to win, to get back home to Austin, where they're going to meet up with their game at the Mississippi State. They play. No, it's not Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is after Georgia. Oh, man, who do they play? Anyway, they play somebody, but it's going to be at home. But anyway, that's all I had. I'm glad to see that Texas fought in that game, even though they was getting manhandled in the offensive line and defensive line today. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. Hit the like button, tune in, subscribe to all the channels you see scrolling across the bottom. We got our man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10, our man FanDuel Zaya of the FanDuel Zaya podcast, our man Post Game of the Post Game 86 podcast, our man Parlay Poe of the Parlay Blitzberg, and we also got our man City League TV, who runs City League TV on YouTube and on Facebook. So we'll catch y'all again tomorrow, early in the morning, 9 a.m. Tune in, and we'll see you tomorrow. I just wanted to come in and say that about the Texas and Florida game. Hopefully, we can get back onto our winning ways and possibly win out to make it to the college football playoffs. As we always do, peace.
There we go.